Hey guys, and welcome back to the Zeldudes podcast.
Today we're talking Zelda-Likes, so games inspired by the Legend of Zelda, but not the Legend of Zelda themselves. Mm-hmm. So Luke, talk to me about Zelda-Likes. What have you played? What have you experienced?
I played so many, but the one that does stand out the most to me has been the Oceanhorn series. Not just because there's, one of them. There's multiple ones. It's a series now. We're on the third installment with the spin-off. And in terms of quality, they kind of stand out above the rest in terms of other indie Zelda-likes. They went from a 2D to 3D and now an almost Breath of the Wild kind of inspired one where you can glide in the air. And we thought it'd be fun because the people at Corn Fox and Brothers sent us the game early. Also, thanks to Apple Arcade, because the game is only available on Apple Arcade for those who are interested. So, iPhone users, you got an edge on Zelda fans. Yeah.
I mean, we obviously played first couple of hours of Oceanhorn 3 on the channel last week, which was really interesting to see. I'm pretty inexperienced in general with Zelda-likes. I'd never played any of the Oceanhorn games like you have. But obviously, as a Zelda fan, it's fun to kind of see all the different inspirations and everything there. But yeah, today we're joined by Heikki and Antti of Corn Fox and Brothers, the developers of Oceanhorn 3. So as we do with every guest on this podcast, we thought we'd begin by asking you some Zelda-specific questions to find out what kind of Zelda fans you are. We do. We've got to grill you. So we'll begin. What's your favorite Zelda game to start off?
Oh, that's an easy one for me because the very first one that I fell in love with is the Game Boy Zelda Link's Awakening. I was maybe 10 years old when I played that, and it has left a lifelong impression on me. Really loved the HD remake too, like it was fantastic.
Oh yeah. What in particular stood out about Link's Awakening? The story or kind of...
Well, first of all, the Game Boy was the only console that I ever gotten at that point in life. Like I had a computer, like an early computer, Commander 64, which I was programming some games with. I haven't done programming since then because I'm the more art related person here. So, but the Link's Awakening was there was something that I always wanted from a video game, is that freedom. And it was so simple thing that you could move into all four directions and the world was seamless, and all those secrets you could discover from the game world was really mind-blowing.
And something about
the production values are through the roof for the Game Boy game. So it's like nothing seen before that. So
they aged so well. Like there's still really good games today, which is crazy.
And the testament to that is the HD remaster, which is so faithful to the original.
Yep.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. They didn't need to change anything about the fundamentals of the game. It's
giving you better or more buttons for the items, because having to pause every 2 seconds did kind of drag the game down a bit.
By the way, that was also one thing I really loved about Link's Awakening, that you could map your buttons, like will you swing the sword with the A or B, so you could equip whichever you wanted.
I believe in Zelda 1 it had to be A, like the original Legend of Zelda. You couldn't swap it. But what about you, Antti? Are you also a Zelda fan? I'm assuming also
I don't even pretend to know about this.
Okay.
Maybe Wind Waker is my
Wind Waker.
Let's go.
That makes sense.
Yes. That's my favorite.
Visuals and that visuals.
Okay. So I take it that's your first Zelda game, Heikki? Link's Awakening was your first one?
It wasn't my first because there were some family friends who had Nintendo Entertainment System, and I got to play one evening the Zelda 1. So, but that was several years before I got that Link's Awakening for Game Boy. So I did play the original Zelda before. Okay. And I do have some more Zelda memories. So then because after Link's Awakening, the next one is, of course, Ocarina of Time. So at that time, I already grew up. I was a teenager. So I was saving my own money to buy the Nintendo 64. And I remember they delayed Ocarina of Time. So it was like, is it Christmas 98 or something? So
It's around then, yeah.
Yeah, around that time. Yeah, I remember it was such a good time it was because we're talking about Stone Ages here. so you could order by mail the game cartridge. So I remember I had to go pick it up from the downtown post office to play it later at home. Yeah, those are great memories.
How would you pitch your not only Oceanhorn 3 but the Oceanhorn series as a whole to our audience? Kind of what is it about, just as a kind of preface?
Yeah, so I would say that if you're a fan, Zelda fan, you're always kind of thinking that I really love these games. And if you're a Zelda fan and a game developer, it's probably one of the things that you would really love to do is a Zelda-like game. So that was basically what got us into making Oceanhorn. And especially at the time when we did the first game, the world was really lacking in Zelda-likes. So it was kind of a transitioning period. No indies were doing these kind of games, and even Nintendo hadn't made like those like Link Between the Worlds or these games. So it was this certain period of time where there were no Zelda-likes, and we were thinking that world needs a proper Zelda-like. So that's how we came up with the idea, and I think that could resonate well with the other people who love these kind of games, these console-style adventure games.
It did with me. I've been a fan since Oceanhorn 1. So that's interesting. And you mentioned, like, so they didn't make specifically top-down Zelda-likes. That was the initial inspiration for Oceanhorn 1, making a top-down Zelda-like?
Yes, yeah, and we actually started with the 2D prototype.
Yeah, it was supposed to be very simple, like technically, but then it kind of grew to that direction where we are now.
So you mentioned Link's Awakening and then obviously Wind Waker. What inspired Oceanhorn the most in terms of a Zelda-like? Like, was there a Zelda game in particular?
So from like a Zelda series, it's Link's Awakening. Like I think visually, like everybody likes Wind Waker. So everybody says that Oceanhorn 1 was like a Wind Waker clone, but we were more into the like 2D Zeldas. So we were doing more that thing. But outside the Zelda series, I don't know if you know the Seiken Densetsu. It was released in Japan, another Game Boy game called Mystic Quest in Europe and Final Fantasy Adventure in US. So that it was a Zelda-like basically but combined the Final Fantasy elements. So for me, the big inspiration was to kind of get game like Link's Awakening and Seiken Densetsu, and that's where the kind of idea for Oceanhorn came with.
Then well, the game is all about the ocean. I mean, each 3 games you do set out to sea. So you're saying Wind Waker had no inspiration in that?
Yeah, I do have to say that it's quite funny. Ocean is a big thing, but it was like a last-minute addition that we got to make the world map for.
Oh wow! Yeah,
we were thinking about it, and then our publisher went like, "Okay, use like 6 months more time or something, but you have to do it."
But we were we had this top-down map where you selected the island where you wanted to go. It was not fully satisfactory, of course. Like we spent a couple of weeks and did the sailing for Oceanhorn 1, and we were already so happy with the results because it started to feel more like grander adventure when you could actually sail from island to island, even though it's like a glorified loading screen because there's not much happening there, but still with the adventure feel.
I think
so that makes sense because we felt that way with Oceanhorn 3 as well, and so it really is just to tie together the world. It isn't necessarily. So wait, then where did the name Oceanhorn? Was that originally the name?
Yeah, that's the. I guess there's silly story to that.
I don't remember. I guess we had like few alternatives for that one. Then.
We had few alternatives, and it was like we established the company in 2010, and we planned to make a Zelda-like game in like 3 months, like with 2D graphics. And we had this game design for what was to become Oceanhorn, and we picked the game. It was this story. It was a bit different story than it is now, because it was mostly set up on one island, and there was the island was supposed to look like a horn sticking out from the sea. And the secret of that game design was that because everything is set up on that one island, at the end of the game, this horn or whatever machine there rises up from the center of the island, and it's the main boss. So I guess for that 2D game design, we had this idea of very kind of contained project. So the idea was that it was sort of that island's name, the Oceanhorn, at that time. But then, of course, later when we started to develop the game and the story evolved, we found more layers to the.
Okay, so transitioning from 1 to 2, which became 3D, what was the inspiration behind that and evolving the series in that way?
Yeah, well, there were plenty of plenty of decisions that led into that direction, and one was our game engine. Would you like to tell more about that?
So basically at that time, the first one was made with our own in-house engine. So we had this simple tile-based editor running on iPad, and that was I guess, Heikki, you made all the levels on iPad
so
for the number 1. Then I guess in 2015 or something, when we started developing Oceanhorn 2, we realized that we don't have the time to maintain our own engine, so we transitioned to using Unreal Engine 4. And I guess that had a huge impact on the how the game or what was possible for us to do.
Of course, also with Oceanhorn 1, we had cinematics and stuff like that. So we had ambitions towards more cinematic game experiences. So, but those cinematics we had to actually, it was programmed.
Yeah, it was like all the camera movements and everything were like lines of code. So we didn't have any.
Yeah, so all of a sudden you had a sequencer, you could launch particle effects from the track and do the cinematics properly. So that was great with the transition to Unreal Engine 2.
Okay. So was there any inspiration? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, no, go on.
Yeah, of course, at that time, Unreal Engine also became like publicly available, so to speak. So that was like an opportunity for us to evolve.
Right. And was your decision to move on to Unreal Engine, was that the kind of main reason that led you to jump from 2D to 3D, or do you feel that kind of always would have been the natural progression of the series?
With Oceanhorn 2, I guess because Oceanhorn 1 was a great success for us, and we had ways of working now and means to make a bigger game. So we took the next ambitious step and wanted to go more into that third-person type of game direction.
Yeah, I guess it was also that it became quite impossible to manage the different devices that were coming up, compared to, if you compare 2015 to 2010, the amount of Apple devices was exploding. And having support that in your own in-house engine was starting to become quite difficult. And all that.
Yeah, from a technical perspective, it made sense. Also, I do have to say that I'm also a big Mass Effect fan, and those games were made with Unreal Engine, and you were just looking at the possibilities there, that what you could do with that engine, and started planning from that.
Okay, that actually leads to my next question. Outside of Zelda, because we know Oceanhorn definitely is inspired by Zelda, is there any other games you guys used as inspiration for the series?
Yeah, for me personally, it's for example, Final Fantasy series, a big. I'm a big fan of those games, and I think part of the kind of storytelling style comes from Final Fantasy series.
Party members in Oceanhorn 2.
Yeah, party members.
Yeah.
So we are playing a bit with the JRPG, and one game kind of everybody forgets when thinking about Zelda-likes, even though it's not. It's a Dragon Quest series, because there is this same sense of exploration there, that you go into the wells. I saw you guys entering the well.
Yes, yeah.
Your playthrough, that was like, oh, great that we did that. So those things are also in Dragon Quest games. You go into people's homes and break the jars. So there are these parallels between the Zelda-likes and JRPGs, and with Oceanhorn series, we are somewhere in the middle there. I don't think we are ever kind of doing the turn-based thing with Oceanhorn, but we are with Oceanhorn 2. We had the party members, and with Oceanhorn 3 we have the skill thrower system where you can launch the skills. That kind of a JRPG.
That gave me Final Fantasy vibes for sure, because it's like for players who don't want to just hack and slash, they have like a moment to take time. And okay, but would you say then the series is taking inspiration from any modern Zelda games? Like I've noticed now Hero can jump, he can run indefinitely, like there's no stamina. Is there a reason for that, or?
Well, yeah, we got the feedback from Oceanhorn 2, obviously, about the jump button. I've said this before in some other occasion, but at the time when we were developing Oceanhorn 2, the phone screen sizes were super small. So when you put two thumbs there was no space for jump button. So we thought that the automatic jump that you can, that's in the Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess, that would be amazing, like on mobile, because you don't need to worry about jumping. And the auto jump works really well in Oceanhorn 2. But it was like a number one kind of request that, I would play this game if it only had a jump button.
People just want to jump.
But I do have to say, yes, there's a Breath of the Wild inspiration with the glider and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But also, if you look at the Horizon series, for example, it's really hard to say what's Zelda-like and what's this kind of adventure game style of game. Yeah. So we are living somewhere there.
So Horizon has inspired it a little bit as well, the series?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, that is Sony's version of Zelda, essentially. I do look at it that way. Came out at such a bad time though, because I feel like it was eclipsed by Breath of the Wild. Like came out like a week before Breath of the Wild. No one recognizes it for what it is.
Yep. Yeah. Right. Yes, indeed. And then the sequel got a lot of influences from Breath of the Wild as well. Like you have the glider and stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
One question I wanted to ask you was that when it comes to Legend of Zelda in particular, one thing that I really love about the series is the lore, and kind of it's so mysterious and kind of working out, kind of trying to unravel the mystery that kind of exists throughout the Zelda timeline. All these goddesses and all that sort of thing. So obviously you said you watched our playthrough video of the first 2 hours of Oceanhorn 3, and so I'd never played any Oceanhorn games before. Luke, though, has played them all. So I was kind of absorbing all I could of the lore in those first 2 hours. And it's really fascinating what I heard. So I guess I wanted to ask you, how did you approach writing the lore? Was it kind of, did you begin before Oceanhorn 1 with an idea of how you wanted to build this world? Or is it something that kind of appeared as you developed more games?
Yeah, so actually it did start before Oceanhorn 1, because there was I once did this Flash game which had really dark story, and it's nowhere available, but it had this story of the kind of people abandoning their planet, And
Yeah.
I had spent some time kind of fleshing that out. It's quite vague and it was sort of dark. But I was thinking when we started making Oceanhorn 1 that it makes a great just a stepping stone. What's next? And with Oceanhorn 1, we didn't even plan to kind of reveal the origins of these deities that govern the planet. So it was just kind of establishing the mysterious background for it all. And of course, the technology has been part of the universe since the first game. There's robots and all sorts of things. So it was kind of nicely tying together this kind of mythos for this world. And go on.
But I haven't written anything to the game, any of the lore, but I love the fact that there is that background, that Heikki has thought it through, and I think it shows even in the first game of the series that even though everything is not revealed, you kind of know that there is something.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of adds just this level of depth to it outside of just the existing, the main narratives of each game, kind of the minute by minute story that you're experiencing. It kind of helps ground everything. If you can imagine, it's all so much more ancient than you actually get to see. But one question I know Luke had in particular about the lore was, I'm right in saying that each Oceanhorn game, the protagonist is named Hero. But what is the relationship between the heroes? They're not the same character, so are they related or reincarnated, or what's the kind of idea there?
Yeah, they're... okay, first of all, there might be some spoilers for our...
Oh, so yeah, don't spoil it if it's... Okay, fantastic.
They could be related, but that's not maybe the point even. They're like... So they are, but they do have a lot in common. Like for some reason, their existence is this culmination of or solving these transpiring events or like the events that are rolling. There are pivotal characters in that, and they don't have a name because we do want to have that kind of player insertion.
Yeah.
Or
okay.
What should you call it? what should you call it? And that's why they don't also speak. So we're kind of following the silent protagonist tradition. So it's not only Zelda-Likes, it's like a Half-Life or what are the other games with the silent protagonist. So there are these kind of rules where you kind of can do the thing with. And but there are this certain archetype, and I did watch your Let's Play, and it was fun that you kind of describe it as this kind of stoic archetype, and it has some truth in it. And with the third game, we were able to input some like a humor to the character with these dialogue options. I saw you guys were having fun with those as well.
Yes,
but like you can be a little bit of a snarky type, or you can go with the good boy approach there.
Okay. So will this be spoilery if I ask, but where does Oceanhorn 3 take place? Because I know 2 was essentially like a prequel or just before Oceanhorn 1. So where would Oceanhorn 3 be set?
Yeah, so we go with the first game. We went 1,000 years back to Oceanhorn 2. So we are now basically forwarding another 1,000 years forward. It takes place almost at the same time with Oceanhorn 1, and there are reasons for that, which will be kind of revealed. So it's there's the Black Hat character, but it's like a decade before Oceanhorn 1's events.
Oh wow, okay. Then we'll have to figure that out on our own. We like, we don't want to be spoiled.
Yeah. We have nice plans for updates for the game as well, and it's just it's not going to be only about mechanics. We have some nice stories. Too.
When you hit the credits, it's not the end.
Yeah, it's not the end.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay.
I mean, do you mind talking a little bit about that? So obviously, not to get ahead of everything, but the game's out in a couple of days. What does the plan for the future for Corn Fox and Oceanhorn look like?
Yeah. Now we are focusing on this game, and like I said, we have plans for updates, and there's going to be multiple bigger kind of story and gameplay updates that we are bringing to the table, and really hope to get the game experience or like the experiencing the story on another level with these updates. So stay tuned.
Okay. Very interesting.
Yeah, so as you know, we only played the first 2 hours so far, and obviously plan on playing more. But from what I've gathered of the game, like you said, it's taking inspiration for more modern Zelda games with being able to jump and run and everything. And does that also apply to the items? Because I know Oceanhorn 1 and 2, the items are very important in solving dungeons. I feel like it's somewhat absent. At least, again, I'm not far enough to know if that's the case. But is that the case with 3? It's supposed to be more like
it's true. There's
freedom?
no items like
okay.
traditional Zelda-like items, but we have these sort of sacred weapons, which gives you abilities, and also you unlock like these critical abilities from the skill path, which can open up new stuffs to explore.
Like
for
swimming.
example, swimming and diving abilities are one of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. All right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I guess it's a little bit more open in sense that the exact moment in the game where you unlock something might not be the same for every player, or should I say, you have the skill path and you can unlock stuff on your own, in your own pace.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah. So that's one of the things, like when you're kind of trying to do something new within the genre, it is decisions like this, that if we go with this kind of RPG style combat direction, we need to let go of the special items because the controls or the stuff that we plan there doesn't really support that. So we need to find a ways how to kind of enable those. And I feel like there's these weapons and the skill path is serving this title really well, because like Antti said, this time the diving ability could be something you unlock much later in the game than the other guy, whereas with these skills that you get with the sacred weapons, it's something that is linear within the game experience. So those abilities you kind of get at the certain points of the game's narrative.
And you need them in order to proceed.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so it seems like Oceanhorn is evolving beyond a Zelda-like now with the later series. It's not just inspired from Zelda. And I've noticed, obviously, you guys don't just have 1, 2, and 3. You have Chrono Dungeons is a spin-off of the series. What inspired that? And in general, could we expect more like that from the Oceanhorn series?
Yeah, so Chrono's Dungeon was basically, we wanted to do a retro dungeon crawler. I think in hindsight, it could have benefited more from like Zelda-like elements in it. But it was, we wanted to do a local co-op game from that one. And it's available for free from iOS App Store and from Steam and so along. So everybody can go and try it out, although it costs in Steam. But anyways.
Yeah, no, I've played of it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first game where we tried this skill path kind of thing, actually.
Yeah, it was a nice game to experiment some stuff.
Okay. Oh, so do you guys plan on making more games like that, like more spin-offs to the series, or?
I do have to say that took so many years from our lives to make a spin-off. So I think we're just focusing on the main title.
That was supposed to be a fun side project, but
don't believe that there's such a thing as a small game project, because those
right
going to take a lot of time.
One thing that came across when my time with Oceanhorn 3 is that I really like the tone that you set for the game, because I think that's something that you really have to think about a lot when designing a kind of an action RPG fantasy game. Is kind of, you can risk going kind of too dark and maybe alienating some people, or at the other end of the spectrum, not taking the world itself seriously. I already mentioned how I appreciated the kind of mystery of the lore. I loved reading all the journals and kind of notes, that have been frantically written by some dead, philosopher. Loved all that. But also, you balance that out with humor. You mentioned, you kind of imply some humor from Hero in his dialogue options. But then one thing that, I loved was we were sailing on the boat and there's a button that says like, do not press this button. And you press it and it like blows up and you take a huge amount of damage. And basically, how did you land on kind of that sort of balance in kind of where you wanted the tone of Oceanhorn to be?
Yeah, I guess we have a lot of fun working here. So, for example, that don't touch this button is just, it was like a, I don't know, why did we do that?
Moment of inspiration.
Moment of inspiration. It's actually funny when you guys use that button. There was this scrap pirate boat. I could hear the battle music starting. It was off screen, so without you guys knowing it, you actually destroyed the enemy boat.
Oh, it was actually all according to plan. We thought that through.
Function, like it kills if there's enemy boats surrounding you, it can kill them. It leaves you with just that bit of health left.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
But otherwise, like, I guess the humor, that's something I really always have loved about video games like Final Fantasy and Zelda's and Dragon Quest. It has a lot of humor and kind of balancing that out. It also, when you're kind of giving that vibrant game experience with kind of all sides of life, then you can go darker at times when like drama requires that. And I feel like we have never done anything like too dark that would have been like not would have been accepted by the players. I mean, like, players do reject some things that if you do something wrong. But I feel like the storytelling and this kind of atmosphere, we have always kind of managed to keep the balance, not doing the kind of slapstick kind of humor thing where we're not taken seriously, but not doing a too serious thing. And I have to say, like, one of my favorite games, like Final Fantasy VII Remake, is kind of dark and everything, but there's a lot of humor in that too. So it's, I think, part of the genre, really.
Okay. And speaking of like, just these games are so ambitious, and it seems like you guys are focused specifically on the mobile experience. Is there a reason for that?
Well, this time we don't start with mobile because from the get-go we've had the Mac and Apple TV, so we have been targeting this kind of console game experience, but.
Yeah, and the Mac hardware has been like evolving such a like huge steps during the past years.
Definitely. So over the course of this game project, the M series has been really a game changer, and I'm working on a MacBook and doing the 3D models and working in Unreal Engine on Mac. So that kind of so your question was about the mobile experience. I guess the mobile experience comes really because we have such a long history of doing mobile games. So that comes really naturally to design kind of both ends, I would say. Always considering that, does this work on mobile? How do we need to tweak this, or the controls, like the skill drawer where you can kind of pause the game and select the action, that's really suitable for a mobile experience really well. So you're kind of thinking those constantly, that, hey, this could be great for both.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because of that, I mean, they feel like the most like ambitious mobile games of all time. Like, there's not many games that are at least exclusively for mobile at first that are this big and grand. I think that's what made Oceanhorn 1 so special at the time, because there was really nothing like it.
It stands out a lot in I feel like the mobile gaming landscape, obviously, you know, there was the big boom kind of when smartphones were just becoming popular and accessible. Everyone was playing, you know, Flappy Bird and all this when mobile games got really popular for a couple of years. Then it feels like there was kind of a move away from the general popularity of them, mainly because a lot of mobile games fell down the kind of pay to win's probably the wrong term, but I'm thinking games that, you know, require constant investment to progress. So I think games like Oceanhorn really stand out, where it's very upfront. It's just, here's a big kind of premium experience that you can play on your iPhone, which stands out on the App Store for sure. But I guess, Luke, was there anything else you wanted to ask about Apple in particular?
Wait, me? Ask about? Oh.
Yeah. Did you have any other
Actually,
focused questions?
I mean, obviously, you guys work with Apple to put the games exclusively on Apple Arcade. I already noticed a ton of people were asking, will Oceanhorn 3 be available on other platforms, or is it exclusively Apple Arcade?
Yeah, so that's something we're not really discussing for many reasons.
Okay.
Which are probably business related. So
yeah,
of course, you never know where the journey takes, but we are kind of focusing now on this release, on this hardware and this service. But what I really want to say is that I personally love the fact that you can play on your phone and continue on your Apple TV, for example.
Yeah,
that's something that's super fun in this like a gaming service, in my opinion. And we have been like from the get-go, like when we started making games, I have nothing against Android users, but we have been making games for iPhones since the beginning, and that's kind of has been part of our company's DNA. Like, I don't even know if we knew where to start to develop on Android, really, because we have never done that ourselves.
Yeah, and the Apple Arcade service lets us focus on the game experience and
like
developing fun games, and not to focus on the monetization loop or something that
so
would be quite boring thing to work on every day.
And if we think about Oceanhorn 3, this is a game that was made for this service. We have been working on this together with Apple, so it's obviously part of these games core founding blocks.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Another thing I wanted to ask you is, has being a game developer influenced or changed how you enjoy video games as a whole? Kind of how you interact with the medium? Do you look at it with a different eye being a game developer?
You want to go first?
That's a hard question. For me, it's nowadays it's more like playing with my kids, and maybe sometimes I'm too critical of something that they are playing.
Right.
On, like
on the other hand, I also feel like we might be more forgiving to video games than like regular players, because you know the effort that went into making certain
how hard it is. Yeah.
Well, sometimes I feel like that players these days are really critical, because with games everything needs to be done from the ground up. Like there's no kind of easy way out of making a video game. Like, even though you're using a game engine, well, Antti has famously once said that you don't start making a film by building a camera, but you actually start filming with the camera. So that's a game engine, right there. Like, you need to have those, and it doesn't do anything automatically for you, really.
Yeah.
So from enjoying other games, I think we do see some stuff that, okay, they did it like that, and sometimes you try to remember that next time when you're doing something. And yeah, like I said, we're more forgiving. Maybe sometimes Antti was more critical.
Yes, maybe, I don't know. I don't know. But also I have to say that one of our sayings here at the studio is that if we read some bad reviews for somebody, like a developer has created a nice game and it gets 1 star, we are like, oh no, they are beating the developer again.
Yeah. So it's
I mean,
really
how do you two deal with criticism, I guess? Because you've been doing this for a while now, so it must be something that you're used to, rather than when you're just starting out and you take everything personally. I guess, like, how have you come to deal with criticism?
I think that's because when making a game, you need to make a lot of very meaningful decisions that where they're founded, these questions, design questions or something. So you would have probably answers for those who are criticizing you for something, or so you could say that, okay, but we did this because of this. So there's typically you have those answers. So I don't really take I can take a lot of criticism, but I don't really value those who say that, oh, these are lazy developers. Well, when was the last time you made a project that took 5 years out of your life and then somebody's calling you lazy? I guess those hurt most, but not really. And I think Antti doesn't like to read the reviews.
I tend to not to read.
Okay. Have you ever had any feedback influence a game decision or a change in the game? Because I've noticed in 3, you guys really want to drive the player where they need to be, make sure there's no way they don't know what's going on. Not just from the waypoint, but there's tax oh, you cannot get this now. Oh, you should go do this later or something like that. Are you guys doing that just in case? Because there are a lot of players who struggle on figuring out what to do, or
that's actually for the early part of the game. That is coming from experience that somebody could stop playing the game if he tries something really tries to get somewhere from the dead end, for example. So why not to just tell them that, hey, this could be a place where you can come later with new abilities. So that's a friendly way to direct the player away. If nothing else works, usually what we do to guide the players is to, of course, players are attracted towards the light. That's a very easy way to guide the players, but sometimes cameras showing and all that. But I guess,
or saying that don't go there, then we know that the player is going
player is knowing that. But I guess we have a bit of experience with Oceanhorn 2, for example, that some things were hard to figure out, especially if you're not familiar with the conventions, like we said.
Okay. Would you say Oceanhorn, outside of Zelda fans, and you said Mass Effect in general, is there a target audience you think that would be interested? I guess fantasy in general, or what kind of audience is the series meant for?
Definitely. I've always feel the adventure, the sense of adventure. I loved, especially as a kid, I loved Indiana Jones and Star Wars movies. So the DNA of this kind of adventure, traveling the world, going from danger to danger, there's something trying to recapture that with our video games. So I guess it's for everybody who likes that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think the age range is quite wide on these kinds of games.
Yeah, definitely.
It's also no, sorry, go on, I interrupted you.
No, not at all. It was that the players from all ages enjoy this type of games.
We had this feedback from. Was it like somebody was writing that he used to play Oceanhorn 1, or his first son played that one, And the second one, the brothers played together, and now this is the third opportunity. Now they are teenagers and they have played all the games.
That's nice. They've kind of grown up alongside it.
Yeah.
And we also have like these elderly people sending email that they would like to get a new game, and it's fun that they can spend a lot of time on those games. Like they send us because we used to have that in Oceanhorn 1 and 2, that kind of end screen where the playtime is.
Yeah.
So people were sending those pictures of those playtimes over.
Yeah.
So somebody was playing for, I don't know, 80 hours.
80 hours, Oceanhorn 2, like maybe the top score.
Yeah. And it's a big achievement if you don't play video games. And that's actually fun about this platform, like Apple Arcade or phones or tablets, like iPads, that people who are necessarily haven't ever played any other video game of this type decides to pick up Oceanhorn 2 and fell in love with the characters or the story, doesn't know that there are experiences like this, because like we know that there are Zeldas and Final Fantasies and Dragon Quest games, all these games with big stories and all that, but Oceanhorn 2 or Oceanhorn 3 can be somebody's first fantasy experience like this.
Yeah.
Is that something that you're kind of particularly conscious about when designing the games? Because I guess every game, people are going to think, developers are going to think, oh, maybe this will be someone's first gaming experience. But I guess, like as you said, you don't need designated gaming hardware. You don't need an Xbox 360 or a Nintendo Switch to play it. You can have your iPhone, which so many people have access to. So is that something that really influences how you design the games?
I think more and more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like with Oceanhorn 1, we were so focused on the kind of conventions and how that Zelda-like is done. And we kind of relied also for players knowing that you can shoot the arrow through the torch to set something on fire. So we are kind of assuming that people knows that stuff. But I guess more and more you kind of consider that maybe first time you give some hint and later on he can discover a new way of experiencing that puzzle or a little bit like that. Yes.
Okay. And you mentioned how like there are people who played from 1 to 3 growing up or just like in a linear fashion. Obviously with how the games are structured, they're not necessarily set in the same time, or they're not linearly moving in a story. They can be all over the place. Do you make the games like with the idea of a player can jump into any entry at any time without experience of prior games, or?
Yes, and that is very important for us, that we don't rely on you knowing the other titles. And actually, when you guys were playing, it was really fun to follow it, kind of digesting the story, really.
Yeah.
And you guys did a great job, because we have new elements. So Luke had played it before and trying to kind of piece the puzzle together, but there are something completely new, so it doesn't fully complete the picture. And it was a great example how the player who might have never played Oceanhorn games could kind of take in the information. And you guys were doing great job.
And I also love the fact that you can have a story or a game where you are just put directly in the action, so to speak. If you think about the first Star Wars movie, you don't know what happened before, but you're right in there, and then bit by bit you start to realize what's going on. I love that feeling.
Yep.
Yeah.
That definitely gives it that mystery that Zelda is known for as well. That just makes it so much more engaging than following something with just very simple story. But one thing I was just genuinely curious about, what inspired the game Turok in the series? Because from 2 there was a card game, and I could never get into it, but I've definitely we've gotten booster packs, we've collected cards for it, but is there inspiration behind that?
Yeah, it's I don't know if you've ever played Final Fantasy 8 or 9. They have the card games like Triple Triad and Tetra Master is the other one. So that's that was the influence for Oceanhorn 2. And now in Oceanhorn 3, the Arcadian Tarot makes return, so we have an inspiration right there, and it's really fun. It kind of immerses you more with the game world when you can have this pastime with the game, collecting the cards and all that. Kind of really sets that certain type of atmosphere, that it's not just like a backdrop, but like a living world where people play cards.
Yeah, and I noticed you had mini games as well, like the wood chopping one that I failed at. I could not do.
I was wondering what really happened there. Maybe you pressed too soon, and we need to look into that.
Okay, I need to give it another shot. I only tried twice. I don't want to embarrass myself anymore.
I just love the fail animation where the log hits you and you fly backwards. Yeah, hilarious. But I'm conscious that we've only got a couple of minutes left.
Yes, so for our final question, I need to know, why the name Corn Fox? I've been curious about that for years. Corn Fox is such an interesting name.
That's a kind of word game or puzzle.
Yeah,
like
it's
corn is corn, and that comes from my brother's surname, Viljama, so it's kind of like corn land in English. And Heikki is repo, which is a fox in Finnish.
Okay.
Oh, well, there you go.
So that's the corn fox, and brothers are we are the brothers, and Heikki is the fox. So that was when we were only us three.
Yeah, and I don't know, we came up in a whim.
Yeah, we had to have the name.
We're filling some register up and came up with the name.
Okay. Yeah, because it was eating away at me for years. I was like, why Corn Fox? Like, what? Okay, that makes total sense.
But thank you so much for joining us on this podcast. And, we've been talking about Oceanhorn 3. Comes out March the 5th. Be sure to check it out on Apple Arcade. So, thank you both so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you. And we enjoyed following your YouTube channels, even before this, your Let's Play. Like, I love your guys' stuff too.
I appreciate it.
We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. But thank you so much to Heikki and Antti from Corn Fox and Brothers for talking to us today.
And Apple for setting up the interview and getting us early access to Oceanhorn 3, which I can't wait to continue playing. As again, it's available on Apple Arcade, and it should be out by the time you're watching this video. So what are you doing? Go play it.
Go play it, yeah. I also want to mention, we're not sponsored by Corn Fox and Brothers. We're not sponsored by Apple.
Pure passion.
We just thought, this is a great opportunity to interview two people who've worked on the development of this game. Which Luke, you've been, as you said, you've been a fan of Oceanhorn long before this. I'm only just starting recently with Oceanhorn 3, but it's fantastic to talk to them.
Yep, I agree. So thank you guys for watching. If there's any other Zelda-likes or anything you'd like for us to check out, definitely let us know. I probably heard of it already, but still let us know.
Let us know. Thank you for watching, listening, whatever you did, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.
Peace.